Hey everyone, and welcome! Have you ever watched Stranger Things and thought, there is no way a villain that terrifying could ever be real? Well, today, we're going to have some fun with that. We are putting Vecna under a scientific microscope to see just how much of his power is pure fiction and how much might actually have a footing in reality. Okay, let's get into it.
So, picture this. The other day, I'm looking for the TV remote. Can't find it anywhere. It's just gone. And I literally said out loud, it's like Vecna opened a rift and the remote slipped into it. We all laughed, but, it actually sparked a real question in my mind. Could a being with all those incredible, terrifying powers actually exist? That's the huge question we're tackling today. We're going to break down his abilities one by one, from moving things with his mind to literally tearing holes in reality, and see where science draws the line.
All right, first up, let's talk about one of Vecna's classic moves, telekinesis. You know, the power to move stuff around using nothing but your mind. It's a total sci-fi staple, right? But is there any science behind it?
Okay, so here's the deal. Our brains run on electricity, but the signals are way too weak to just, lift a chair. That's pure mind over matter, and it's not happening. But science has found a workaround, mind over machine. We're talking about brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs, which are these incredible systems that can actually read our brain signals and turn our thoughts into commands for technology.
And this is not just some far-off theory. It's happening right now. Companies like Neuralink are actually developing BCIs that let a person control a robotic arm just by thinking about it. So the brain isn't moving the arm directly. Nope, it's sending super precise signals to the tech, which does the heavy lifting. It's a massive step toward a real-world kind of telekinesis. Okay, so moving on to what is, for my money, Vecna's most terrifying power, invading people's minds, forcing them to relive their worst memories and see these awful visions. It feels like something straight out of a horror movie, but the science here might be a little closer to home than you think. So the key idea here is something called neural interference. See, neuroscientists have known for a while that if you stimulate very specific parts of the brain, like the temporal lobe, with tiny electrical impulses, you can trigger incredibly vivid, dreamlike hallucinations. It basically proves that our sense of reality isn't as solid as we think. It can be altered, it can be hijacked, which is exactly what Vecna does to his poor victims.
All right, now for the really big one. Vecna's ultimate power move, ripping open portals to another dimension, to the upside down. I mean, this has to be 100% fiction, right? Well, let's see what theoretical physics has to say about it. So, believe it or not, science does have a couple of mind-bending theories that sound a lot like this. First, there's the multiverse theory, which suggests our universe is just one of many, maybe infinite universes out there. And second, you have the idea of wormholes, these theoretical tunnels through the fabric of space-time that could act like shortcuts, maybe, just maybe, connecting our reality to another one. Sound familiar? But, and this is a really big but, there's a massive catch. The amount of energy you would need to create a stable wormhole is just astronomical. We are talking about more power than countless stars produce, all combined. So no matter how powerful a mind is, it just can't generate that kind of cosmic energy. So, creating portals to other dimensions is definitely out. But what about Vecna's actual body? That creepy, vine-covered, monstrous form. For this, we're going to pivot away from physics and dive into the fascinating and sometimes pretty creepy world of biology. Get this. In the real world, we see some wild examples of parasites taking over their hosts. The most famous is probably the zombie ant fungus. This fungus infects an ant, literally hijacks its brain and muscles, forces it to climb up high on a plant, and then it erupts out of the ant's head to spread its spores. It is a true-life horror story of one organism completely controlling and physically reshaping another, which is a really disturbing parallel to Vecna's whole situation.
So, we've looked at neuroscience, we've peeked into theoretical physics, and we've explored some freaky biology. After all that, what's the final verdict? Could a being like Vecna actually exist?
Let's break it down with a scorecard. His telekinesis? Well, there's a partial basis in brain-computer interfaces. Mind invasion? Again, partially plausible thanks to neural stimulation. His monster form? It's like an extreme sci-fi version of real-world parasites. But tearing open portals to other worlds? Yeah, that one, because of the insane energy costs, stays firmly in the fiction column.
So, while a full-blown, world-destroying Vecna is thankfully just the stuff of nightmares, it's pretty wild to see that the scientific seeds for some of his powers are actually real, and that's a fascinating and maybe a little unsettling thought to leave you with.
for now. But hey, before you go, I've got 2 quick, fun facts about the show itself. It kind of proves that even the best stories sometimes struggle to break through into our reality.
Can you believe it? The pitch for Stranger Things was turned down more than 15 times before Netflix finally said yes. It's a great reminder that sometimes the most brilliant ideas, whether in science or in storytelling, really need someone to believe in them.
And one last little tidbit for you. The show wasn't even called Stranger Things at first. Its original working title was Montauk, named after a real town in Long Island that has all these urban legends about secret government experiments. Just one last little blur between our world and the Upside Down. That's all for today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.